Welcome to. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, what's up, man?
Wait for me.
Oh, we already started the show. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. I'm ready for this episode. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is That's a Crime. I'm Jason Connell.
And I'm Sal Rodriguez.
All right, Sal. We are back for another crime.
And an interesting one because it's both horrific and there's a humorous slant to it because how we are led into the case.
That's exactly true. I concur completely. Because today we are breaking down the true crime story of the Family Feud contestant joked he regretted marrying his wife, then murdered her in 2023. Yeah, it's catches headlines. It caught my interest and my attention. Like, wait, Family Feud contestant?
Yeah.
Called his shot and literally killed his wife. It's like, it is absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
But it's tantalizing. Like, who is this person? Because immediately you're going, there's got to be footage of this person. I got to see this guy. And there is, and we're going to bring that into play at the appropriate time. But I don't know if you're a big Family Feud fan, Sal, before we get into the crime.
Well, historically, I am a game show fan in general, to such the degree that I have, just to make sure, yes, I've been on 2 game shows that have aired. I've been on 2 game shows as
I've
contestants
seen
that
you
have aired.
on one of them.
Yeah,
Most
and I did one
recently.
years ago. The first one I did was about the mid-90s short-lived game show called Sex Wars. The idea was 3 guys against 3 girls.
Interesting.
It was Sex Wars. It should have been like gender wars, really. I mean, there's no sex involved, but 3 guys versus 3 girls trivia. So we did not win. The guys did not win, but I got a nice piece of luggage that I used for years, so that was appreciated. And then recently, I had the displeasure. The only reason I say displeasure is because I did not win, as a spoiler. But I was recently on the new game show on Game Show Network called Split Second.
It was so fun.
And I had a great time, but I'm not. I'll tell our listeners because I love our listeners, but I'm not like telling the world because I didn't win. And I'll tell you, part of it was that clicker. That clicker.
I know. I was watching it. We were watching it. Sophia and I like, oh yeah, that one guy buzzes in all the time, and he was just. You had a faulty clicker.
He knew the trick, or he knew some little trick that I didn't know.
I think we should break down your episode on that show on one of our
That's a crime.
shows.
What happened on
the
that?
clicker? The clicker.
What happened on that was, you know what?
True crime.
And as far as like Family Feud, for years, all of us have seen no shortage of Family Feud clips with people giving funny answers, silly answers, scandalous answers, controversial answers. So this guy would have just been part of that list.
Yeah.
Except for what happened.
So more about Family Feud, the show. It's an American television game show created by Mark Goodson. Came out in 1976. So it's been around for a while. The year of the bicentennial. Go figure.
Yes, that's right.
The show features 2 families who compete to name the most popular answers to survey questions in order to win cash and prizes. And
Jason,
Sal,
I just want to say real quick, and that's very important because I think, not that I'm letting the guy off the hook, but when you listen to his answer, how he's answering.
Yes.
Yeah, because remember, the purpose of the show is to name the most popular answers, not necessarily as they pertain to you personally, not necessarily as what you think is the right answer, but what do you think most people answered?
Yeah, and they usually say, survey says,
yes.
And they check the survey and things flip over.
Yeah.
The show never really went modern. It's this old school technology, and it works. A lot of personality. But Sal, why don't you, and it's a good point. You bring up a good point. We'll talk more about that as we get into his appearance on the show. But why don't you rattle off the show's host? Because it's only had so many in all of its years. But I remember the original, the OG to the show.
Oh, yeah.
But rattle off these guys. I know you're not going by memory. They're written down, and you can talk about your faves. Go ahead.
No, because I only know 3 of them. But the hosts have been Richard Dawson, Ray Combs, Louis Anderson, Richard Karn, John O'Hurley, and Steve Harvey, who I believe is the current host.
Yeah. So Richard Dawson from Hogan's Heroes was the original, and he would actually kiss all the women.
Yes, I remember that. That could not be done today.
Not it was the 70s into the early 80s.
He would, just to be clear, he would give a kiss on the lips to every woman. Every woman.
And once he got it going, it was no stopping that. It was a given he's going to kiss you. Crazy. It was a different time. Ray Combs, if you don't know the name, if you looked him up, he was host on other shows. Very recognizable. Louis Anderson, amazing comic.
Sure, stand-up comic, yeah.
Genius. And Richard Karn was on Home Improvement. He was the other
yes,
guy.
with the beard.
Yeah, the beard. He's fantastic.
Yes. Okay, I remember him now. Yeah.
And then John O'Hurley looked familiar to me when I looked him up. And then Steve Harvey's been, dominating the show for a while. A lot of clips pop up online, social media. He's really funny. He has it down, to a T. I think he moved to Atlanta, and then the show is now filmed there because he's there. Wow. So it's very convenient for him. That's what I read. So
interesting.
Anyway, so that's backstory on the show. Now we can get into the crime. So Timothy Bliefnick and some of his family members were contestants on Family Feud. In the episode, Timothy joked about his marriage to his wife, Rebecca Bliefnick. And so this is just a kind of the exchange that he has with Steve Harvey. And your point earlier is, definitely spot on, but we'll talk it through and then we'll show the clip.
Sure.
So host Steve Harvey asked,
"What's your biggest mistake you made at your wedding?"
And Timothy's response was,
"Honey, I love you, but said I do. Not my mistake. Not my mistake. I love my wife. I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I?"
And then, of course, Steve Harvey's like giving him the look.
Oh yeah,
Harvey's
because a lot of those clips from Family Feud that we've grown to love over the last few years, Steve Harvey's reactions to the answers.
It's the reactions that are fantastic. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to cue this up just so you can actually see this, and you can actually see, Timothy. And I don't have a photo of him now, but I'm telling you, Sal, and listeners and fans, go look him up now.
Yeah, very different.
You wouldn't you saw him. You would not recognize him. It blew me away. He's like clean-cut guy on the show, anything but. Now it looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter, they were hanging out or something. It's like, I don't know what happened in his life. Obviously not good things, terrible things for him to murder his wife. But here's the clip.
There was this now haunting joke he made about his wedding.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? Honey, I love you, but said I do. Oh! Not my mistake. I love my wife. I'm going to get in trouble for that, aren't I?
My dad said there's some.
So,
and Jason, the clip goes on. I think it's kind of funny that the clip goes on to interview.
Yeah.
Another contestant on
that was there that day.
Yeah.
And she says, my dad said there's something off about that guy. Well, talking about Tim. His name's Tim on the show, Timothy.
Yes.
So, but clean cut, charismatic.
Sure.
But
and he was handsome. And she says he was handsome. He was a handsome guy. Absolutely. Handsome, good looking, wearing a bow tie. Now, to me, bow ties are suspect, but he looked great.
Yeah.
It was just an average day on the game show set, right?
Average. You know what those sets are like.
Oh yeah, high pressure. Let me tell you something, folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Being on a game show is a lot of pressure, especially if you want to win the money.
And I like what I have to brag on you for a second, because you did such a good impression of Tony Montoya from Scarface.
Yes, that's right. I did. That just came out that way. Yeah.
Oh.
It came out as an impression just automatically.
It was. Go ahead and give it to our fans. Come on.
Well, the question was, it was about the movie Scarface.
Yes.
And I forgot what the exact question was, famous movie quotes. Yeah. And the answer was, "Say hello to my little friend."
And you said it just like that. And you got a laugh out of the
I got a laugh from the studio audience and the host.
And then you said which we didn't see, because they cut things out. You told me later that he then asked you a question. You froze up. You're like,
okay, so that's
talking to me.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, the pressure, because right after that particular question, he, as an aside, says to me, looking right at me, "And you know what movie that's from?" And I was just blank because I kind of went catatonic. I answered the question And then he hit me with sort of an aside. And then he answered it. He goes, Scarface. He answered the question that he just asked to me.
Well, because you probably didn't even think he's talking to you.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
you're
went
probably like,
catatonic.
you
That's how
talking
much
to me?
pressure it is.
You talking to? I don't see
That's what I
anybody
should
else
have
here.
said. That's what I should have gone with another impression. That would have been
A
funny.
taxi driver. I would have
Yep.
loved that. All right. So back to the crime. Now, that episode was taped in the fall of 2019, and then aired in 2020. Then, tragically, on February 23rd, 2023, Rebecca Bliefnick was found shot to death in her Quincy, Illinois home after she didn't pick up her 3 sons from school. Just that sentence, Sal, devastating.
Absolutely terrible.
Shot dead in her home.
Yeah.
Kids are waiting. Where's mom? Like, and to know who did it. This is where it's no longer cute family feud episode and into, murder. And
Well, because it becomes very
the worst
selfish
degree.
if it's one thing to kill someone, that's not horrible enough, right? But you're killing the mother of your children.
Yeah.
You are killing the mother of your children, your former spouse or existing spouse. I think they were actually married at the time. But you're punishing your children. You are giving them such a cold punishment, that they're gonna have to deal with the rest of their life.
Horrible. They're not going to recover from this.
No.
They might have normal lives, but this is a scar you can't.
Oh yeah, you carry that with you your whole life.
Yeah, it's terrible. So apparently, the couple was going through a divorce at the time of the killing, and both had filed restraining orders against one another. I don't know how often that happens.
Well, no, it's one of those things like we've seen on our favorite show, Let's Talk Cobra Kai, where one of the characters filed like you file a restraining order on me, I file one on you.
Yeah.
Right? It's done just as a counter
first, which is interesting.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a preemptive then. So yeah, it could have been one of those things. Like we're not led to believe that the husband ever felt in danger of his wife. I don't think we have any information on that.
Well, I did read that that's what he wrote, something like that. He was feeling threatened.
Oh.
But people are feeling things that might not be present.
Sure.
And we don't know. I mean, there is not a lot about this. All that I have is going to be shared here today. I don't know the backstory of Timothy, right?
Yep.
Or even Rebecca's relationship. But I thought it was interesting that they both had restraining orders and he filed first. It was like, wow, that's a head scratcher.
And by the way, Jason, I have to be clear, just because it had to occur to me, especially after watching the video clip. The wife was not present.
No.
On the Family Feud.
Panel. They would have focused on that.
Yeah, she was not there.
Said that. No. Different family members.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Sometimes they're cousins.
Sure.
Whatever.
Well, whoever. I mean, some people may have no interest in going to the game show, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would go. No doubt about it.
I want
Sign
the money.
Up, Sal Rodriguez.
I want the money.
So, skipping ahead to the trial. During the trial, one of her sisters, Sarah Riley, testified that Rebecca had previously voiced concerns about her estranged husband. She went on to share a text message Rebecca sent her or shared with her in September 2021, which said what, Sal?
If something ever happens to me, make sure the number one person of interest is Tim. I am putting this in writing that I'm fearful he will somehow harm me. Man, the fact that you even have to put something like that in writing in the first place.
Yeah, he'd already crossed some lines to be like, okay. And this isn't, unfortunately, this is not the first time I've heard something like this from a woman.
No,
who's been killed and like written it down. It's in their diary. They share with a family member, and that they sense something. Because some people, as you know, Sal, there's a point where they just wouldn't cross, right? Like this guy would never even punch a woman. And some people, that line is just vanished. And if someone's on the other side of that, they're probably feeling that like, uh-oh, this person's boundaries, or, OJ, right? His spouse that he killed,
wait, did she give warnings ahead of time?
Ton.
Oh, she did.
Called, cops and said, warning, told her sisters, like OJ he's gonna kill me someday. She knew.
God.
So like that's the stuff. Like when you feel it, then it really, really intensifies and manifests, and you share with people. But no one wants to believe it. Like, okay, I know, but you get the 3 kids, and that's scary. You're not even
Well,
safe.
because the problem is with our legal system is until, okay, you can do a restraining order, fine. Any of us can do restraining orders, but until somebody actually gets hurt,
Yeah.
harmed, assaulted, killed,
Yeah.
there's nothing that the police can do.
Yeah.
They have to wait. It's like if you want to put a
What?
crosswalk in the street, somebody's got to get killed before you put a crosswalk in the street.
Exactly. It was Nicole Brown Simpson. I wanted
Yes.
to give respect.
Nicole Brown
to
Simpson,
her.
rest in peace. Yes. As a matter of
But
fact, speaking of, Jason, I just saw Kato Kalin at the local Vons the other day.
you get out of here.
Absolutely truth. We're in the produce area. I look over. I recognized him because when I used to do these podcasts years ago, he would come into the studio and do some. I think he had a podcast at one time.
I'm sure he did.
So he was standing there minding his own business. A woman approached him and started a conversation with him. He was very friendly, very open. In fact, what I know of him, I think he is a very friendly man. But yeah, he was there at the local Vons in Burbank.
I love it. That's great. Only in Los Angeles or in Burbank. So forget where we were at, but that was a good call back to the 80s, 90s, the crime of the century.
Oh, yeah.
So 40-year-old Timothy Bliefnick was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of home invasion in connection with the death of his estranged wife, 41-year-old Rebecca Bliefnick. Rest in peace, Rebecca. And I don't have any information on sentencing, but I'm glad that it sounds open and shut to me. You start looking around for, well, what's the motive here? What's the motive here? This guy's got a restraining order. I'm sure there have been some things that I don't know if cops are called and there's a laundry list of times they've come out. I don't know that, but I do know that they got their guy. My heart goes out to the family and the kids in particular and the parents on both sides. And this has happened on a few episodes as well, and I think this is a beautiful thing. There is a GoFundMe page that was created for Rebecca's family and her 3 sons. And Sal, I hadn't even really gone to it. I found it. We could, sometimes I usually we could go there real fast, visit it. It is, if you went to a search bar, I would say, type in Becky Bliefnick Memorial and Support Fund. If you just start typing that in, they populate kind of like Google. But we could go there now. We could at least share a few things about the page. I know I didn't mean to spring this on you, but
no, it's okay. I'm there.
okay.
I'm happy to report, very happy to report, nearly $112,000 raised of the $250,000 goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice to see. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like out children, but I would love to see these little children that she has, these survivors, the little survivors. I hope that they're well. Yeah. So there she is. Beautiful picture, looking like her hair blowing in the wind.
Yeah, there's some updates on here.
There are.
I mean, there's a post-verdict update, and then there's the stuff like they talk about the family and how
post-verdict. Yes, it says that.
There's some things in here. So I mean, this is also just writing, so I don't know.
Yes.
I'm not just going to take this, but there is some information on here. I'm sure they keep people posted. There's 905 donations, ranging just on what I can see from $20 to $700+. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm sure Steve Harvey could donate to this. Anybody on?
I think
Family Feud.
You know
probably
what?
has.
I wouldn't doubt he probably has. I wouldn't. Doubt
he seems like a good person.
I think he's a good guy. I do.
And so yeah, there's a nice write up here about Rebecca, because we don't get to know the victim that well. We just know that she was the mother of 3 and married to Timothy, and she was killed far too young. So it's one of those crimes. It's like, oh, that's intriguing. That's kind of cool. And then there's a murder, and it's like, okay, that got me in. And now now I'm learning about the victim more. And there is no justice for this. I mean, yes, I want to see, I guess, if the justice would, if there is any. Timothy has been arrested. He's convicted. He goes away. Okay, I guess that's as much as you're going to get. But,
well, no, Jason, one thing you always have to consider is the state. What state was this?
Well, what state? So Illinois. So
okay, Illinois, do they have the death penalty and that sort of thing? Because even though I personally have publicly declared I'm not a proponent of the death penalty, there are these states that have it, right? Yeah. And so there's always the possibility that somebody can get the death penalty in one of these states.
Right.
And even though I do not support the death penalty, if you're a person that kills someone in cold blood,
Mhm.
you know what? They got the death penalty there. So there you
Yep.
go.
That's very true. Very
We'll
true.
see. We'll see.
So that covers the true crime story of the Family Feud contestant joked he regretted marrying his wife, then murdered her in 2023. Sal, I try to always work in lighter crimes. This is not one of those.
No,
But
it's not. I mean,
important.
the game show aspect is fun, but yeah, no, this is horrible. And like I said, if it weren't for the murder itself, he would have just been part of the gag reels that we see all the time.
Right.
For some guys, saying something stupid on the air that he shouldn't have. I get his point about how he was answering, but still, he shouldn't have said something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have ended there. But then, look what happens, and we need to know more about the case. We don't have enough because it says here, home invasion. Really?
Yeah. Well, that's what he was up for. So they were separated, and
Mhm.
he comes in uninvited.
Mm.
How many times had he done that? And this
Sure.
time, murders her.
Terrible.
So
Rest in peace, Rebecca.
peace.
Rest in peace.
Absolutely. So, fans of the show and of Just Curious Media at large, please give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Just click the little button. Boom, a little rating. If you have time to leave a review, that would be incredible. It helps us so much to stand out from other shows. It's more important than you even know. And sometimes we have to stir the pot to get people to do them, unfortunately. But I'm the same way. I'm a fan of shows, and how often do I go do that? So it's nice to hear, and then maybe this will motivate people, because Sal and I can only write so many reviews and use fake names. We can only
Exactly.
do so much. And Sal, tell them how they can talk to us, communicate with us.
Well, you're always welcome to send us a direct message. Jason, and I say Jason, it's not me. Jason Connell reads the messages, responds to messages. Heck, you may even have your message read on the show at some point. I mean,
That does
those
happen.
things happen. We are very interactive. Jason Connell is very interactive for all of our shows, but in this instance, That's a Crime. Reach out to us, post comments,
Yep.
find That's a
Yep.
Crime on all your favorite social media platforms.
Absolutely. And I need to do a better job of social media there's more and more shows coming online. And it's funny. It's like, okay, production's key. Oh yeah, we got to market and do social media.
Oh, yes.
But so that falls by the wayside, but I am building, there's some things happening. I'm getting additional, help here and there. So I plan on filling those gaps, because production has really been this big thing, juggling new shows. And speaking to that,
Yes.
check out justcuriousmedia.com. We have a new show launching this week, the week that we're recording this. It'll probably be out by the time this comes out. And lots of new fun things are on there. We're now helping people with their own podcast, from consulting to production to hosting, voiceover, lots of things, because we're growing the company. You can't just, be in the no income, no profit lane forever. We're starting to diversify. And get out there more. And this is part of it. Talking to our fans more, interacting with them more, promoting ourselves, which is hard for me to do, Sal, but it's a must. It's a must.
No, you deserve it, and Just Curious Media deserves it. Absolutely. Believe me, I don't go around blahing about stuff unless I really believe in it myself.
Yeah,
so no.
right.
Just Curious Media pretty much becoming a one-stop shop for content and creation of podcasts. Both. Yeah. Hey, you want to start a podcast? Reach out to us. You want to hear a podcast? Reach out to us.
Yeah.
We becoming the guys. We're the guys.
Yeah. You tired of podcasts? Talk to us.
Before you press stop, reach out to us.
We help. We also soothe that anxiety, and we get you back in the podcast line.
We'll talk you down. We'll talk you down from the ledge.
Well, that's all I got, my friend and fans. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you. And stopping audition.